Welcome to Business World. I'm your host Siddharth. Now, certain manufacturing has been started in Gurgaon and all over India. And today we have Mr. Manohar Bhat, Head Sales and Marketing, Kia Motors India, who's going to talk about how Kia Motors is handling the COVID crisis. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Siddharth.
How is Kia Motors actually reaching out to its customers? How is it engaging the customers? And also, you could talk about digital sales.
So we pride ourselves at Kia that we were the first automobile company in this country to have a fully digital online sales platform right from when we started in August. So the first ones to have, you could inquire about the vehicle, could book the vehicle, could also do financing of the required variant of the Seltos online, and also we would make sure that the rest of the stuff also happened online. So that you only have to go, maybe you receive the vehicle and sign a few documents, that's about it. We are the first, we believe, in the country to start this process. So right now, obviously, we feel that going forward, this system will have even more traction. We used to get around, I think, 50, 60 or more cases on a monthly basis we used to get. So it was to that extent known to the customers and people were using it. Now we believe that maybe it will have more traction. More than potential customers, we try to help the customers by trying to give them some tips on, first of all, about the lockdown, what they can do during the lockdown, like your exercise, like yoga. These are a lot of tips on that. Actually, we ran a campaign in which we showed our carnival launch ad in reverse. The basic idea being, go back, rewind is what we said. So hashtag rewind, and get back to what you were earlier. Rejuvenate, and now we're also coming out with the campaign of now let's come and sort of regrow, or after rejuvenation now you do your best going forward now. So other than that, we give a lot of our dealerships used to ring up their potential customers, give them tips about how to maintain the existing vehicles. For example, the battery obviously is a problem when you don't run your vehicle, don't use your vehicle for long. We give them a lot of tips on how to maintain the vehicles during a long shutdown and many things. So other than actually selling cars, because selling cars, frankly, at this point of time, buying cars at this time is the last thing on the customer's mind. So we try and help out and try to engage with the customer in a very in a helpful way, rather than being very crass and pushy about it.
Sir, Kia Seltos is a runaway hit. So a lot of my people I know and in my friend circle have booked the Kia Seltos, and the booking and the waiting period has crossed 3 months. So that also means you have a lot of potential customers waiting to take the delivery of the cars, right?
Yeah, that's right. See, that's what it is. It is pretty heartening for us for two reasons. One, yes, we got a large base of customers, but one would have thought that during a very uncertain time like this, like the lockdown and the aftermath of the lockdown, when people are not very sure about how their basic life is going to get through, what about their jobs, what are their businesses, so a lot of uncertainty. So one would have thought that there'd be many cancellations also during this time. The fact of the matter actually is what makes me very cautiously optimistic is that the bookings that we got during this period, well, not too many bookings obviously, but the bookings still have outnumbered the cancellation, and by good margin. So this makes us cautiously optimistic going forward also. Like you said, we got a lot of people who have booked the vehicles, and to that extent shown a very, very strong intent of wanting to own a Kia Seltos by and by. So now the question is, when will they convert, and when can we make them a very proud owner of a Seltos? So this is what I think we'll be working on going forward, because this will be work in progress along with our finance partners, for example, who will help the customer in giving the financial enabler, among other things.
So, is there any change in plans when it comes to rollout of new models?
See, before we rolled out the first vehicle Seltos, we had promised India that we will be bringing in one new vehicle every 6 months.
Okay.
So 6 months after the Seltos, we launched the Carnival. And now
Yes.
will abide by the rest of the promise also. Another 6 months down from the carnival, you can expect the Sonet to be launched. That is during the festival season of August September. We will stick to this guideline, so we will not be delaying it. No way. We will try to maintain the same deadline. Of course, uh, other things being helpful to us in the sense that if the lockdown gets extended or there's any, God forbid, any other issue going forward, then it's anybody's guess. But as things stand, we are doing our best to maintain our earlier committed timeline.
Going forward, will you be focusing more on SUVs, or will you now be focusing on mini cars? Because people, there is a lot of buzz that mini cars might see a rebound in sales because of social distancing and also personal mobility going up and all. So, your thoughts?
See, I've I've heard a lot about that, and also the experience of the Chinese market, where apparently the cheaper cars have got a boost after the lockdown. Having said that, see, yes, it absolutely could happen. It could impact. It could impact positively the demand for two-wheelers, for second-hand vehicles, and also the lower end of the compact cars. But again, on the flip side, you also have the thing that a certain portion of the demand for small cars also comes from Ola Uber, right? Which is likely to be negatively impacted after all this. You see, it's a very difficult situation for everyone for the simple reason that it's a once in a lifetime event that happened, a black swan event, if you will. So to predict what is going to happen is, I would say, extremely difficult, because normally the forecasts come on the basis of your past experience, your past a guy who's been around, or you look at the data for the last 20 years or from your personal experience last 20 years and try to extrapolate or interpolate from that. In this case, there's nothing that comes near this sort of phenomenon. Maybe, it might be that yes, the small vehicles does get a boost, but I think overall the market is going to shrink. At least in the next 6 months to a year, I don't see a market growing. So maybe in a smaller market, the market share of the smaller cars might go up. But it is not to say that they're going to increase their sales over what they were doing earlier. I don't think that this would be the case.
Can we expect a product by Kia in this segment? Since you yourself saying that this segment might see an uptick in numbers.
What I'm seeing is an uptick in market share is what I said. Numbers, I'm not very sure about the overall numbers going up. Okay. I think the market for automobiles could shrink. It will shrink most likely. Simple reason being, the market for automobiles is directly linked to the GDP growth. So GDP growth, even some pessimists are even focusing on negative growth. In that case, there's no way the entire overall market is going to grow. So I believe that within a shrinking market, maybe small cars might have a greater market share. Now coming to your second question about what Kia is going to do, we would like to possibly wait and watch, check out which way the market actually is going to go, and then take a call. So it's very, I'll not stick my record and say, okay, we're going to get in with the small hatch or something. I don't think that is likely just now. See, we'll wait, watch, and then we'll take a decision. Of course, the next vehicle, the subcompact SUV, the compact SUV Sonet, that is for sure. And like I said, it's going to come out in August, September, October. In that period, you'll get it for sure.
On Kia Sonet, so could you shed some more light on the new compact SUV which is coming from Kia?
Including the price, sir. Including the price.
See, okay, I'll take the last part first. It's going to be a very, very competitively priced compact SUV for sure. It is a sub 4 meter SUV. It will compete with the likes of your Brezza, your Venue, your XUV 300. It will be in that range, and it will be priced competitively with them for sure. But then it will have features that are not present in the segment so far. It will have features as in the internal car features, as well as your engine feature that we will give. The engine powertrain option that we'll give will be better than what are being offered in the market as of today. And of course, it comes with a great Kia design, the design that was so much appreciated when the customers saw it during Auto Expo, as well as obviously the Kia quality that is being seen in the Seltos today. as also, like I also said, the features. The features will be something out of the world for this segment. We have so many first-time features. I think customers will be really, really appreciative of it.
And sir, Maruti has no diesel engines for Brezza. So do we expect Kia to bring the Sonet in a diesel and a petrol variant?
See, we have all the technologies, all the powertrains possible. We got electric vehicles, we got fuel cell vehicles, that is hydrogen vehicles. We got diesel vehicles also. We got your petrol vehicles, the turbo petrol vehicles. So we will offer, yes, diesel and petrol. Definitely we'll offer all these options also to the customer. Automatic power transmissions and something else which is also which will be, I think, be very, very attractive to the customer. Which I'll not spell out just now, but something which is very, I think, unique in this sector. No one has seen it so far.
Working from home and everything, and social distancing becoming the new normal. What all major changes has been there for Kia Motors in their in terms of operations and businesses and human resources?
So we learned to work remotely in a much more productive way than what we had thought possible earlier. So that also gives us ideas going forward. Though let's see how it works out finally. But yes, as far as our customers and dealerships are concerned, we have made a lot of changes at the dealerships in the way the customers will be welcomed, the way they will be treated during the dealership. Because it's a very, very, like you said, very troubled time for the customer also. So everyone is in a state of, everyone is very scared to come out possibly. So no one is really very comfortable in coming and going to a shop or a mall or something like that. We're trying our best to make this experience, because he has to come to the showroom to touch and feel the car, check out the features, to test drive the vehicle. We are trying to do as much as possible at the customer's place. For example, in vehicle servicing, we are trying to get the vehicle picked up at the customer's place, and also we drop it back after having sanitized it fully. Similarly, for test drive, also we try our best to give the maximum test drives at the customer's place. For example, you'll have more your activities done nearer the customer. So he doesn't have to travel, doesn't have to come there. We try to give more to the customer. And when he does come to the showroom, it will be an experience which he'll feel very, very safe and comfortable with. The sanitization of all the people, when he'll be, all that is going to be under social distancing. We'll try to maintain in as strict a manner as possible.
Like earlier, globalization was a boon. Now, thanks to coronavirus, it has become a bane. People are increasingly getting deglobalized. So, how does it affect your existing ecosystem? Like, will you be relying more on local sourcing of components, or will you continue sourcing from China, Korea, and other countries? And is that the way forward? Is that deglobalizing and being dependent on our domestic vendor base, is that the way forward? If you can shed some light on that.
See, it's even today we depend on a very, very, very large portion on a domestic base only. We have to, because otherwise you cannot make a competitively priced car in case you are importing all the components. Now, what is possibly happening also is that our vendors, to some extent, are dependent on some supplies from abroad. So this change of our sub-vendors, for example, or some part that we are also maybe importing directly from abroad, this change cannot happen overnight, because these parts are, complex engineering parts, which will take some time. In case I want to do it also, some time for it to be indigenous, to have a local vendor to make it here, procure some components from other sub-vendors, make sure the quality is up to the mark, right? So, but all these, like, they got many safety connotations also, among other things. So it's not something that, not decision that we can take very lightly. So it is, I think it is going to be a comparatively long drawn process. We'll see how it pans out, how it works out in the next couple of years.
The Prime Minister spoke about this Atmanirbhar Bharat and all. So, and Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman also came out with some policies, some big bang announcements. has there been any positive impact on the auto industry, especially in the PV segment? If yes, can you shed some light? If you think nothing has been done, what should have been done for your industry, especially the PV segment?
See, if I may, like Hindi mein that this one is there, choti muh badi baat. So I'm not an economist in this, but my one is like this. See, whatever steps the government has announced, the Atmanirbhar one, and your medium term, the opening up of the economy, it is in absolutely the right way, and I'm absolutely in total agreement with it. It's a very good way forward. But then my problem, or I think our problem today is, instead of looking so much in the medium term or the long term, right now our economic engine is at a standstill. It has to get pushed out of the current standstill position. This requires a lot of inertia, because it's got inertia. Once it starts rolling forward, then it might pick up speed. This is the issue, I think, which has not been addressed. By this I mean the demand generation. Right now, by giving MSMEs funds, it doesn't do much if the MSME feels that there isn't any demand for its product. So I believe that across the board, the government should do some amount of demand consumption generation or consumption, motivate people to buy. Again, in my view, what was done earlier in, I think the last one might just work here. I think at that time they reduced excise. Excise was there at that time. They revised excise duty downward. So typically what we see is, if the tax rates come down for a short and a very specified period of time, you'd see, I'm very sure, customers going out and buying. For example, across the board, we reduce the GST to 5%. It might work very well to boost the demand in the short term, as well as fill the government's coffers. Because otherwise, it will possibly generate more revenue than otherwise would have been there earlier. Meaning, the demand increase will much more than the 5 or 10% that the government has reduced the GST. If the demand goes up by say 20%, then you are still ahead of the game. So I believe some such demand generation what the government should be doing now, along with whatever long-term measures that it has announced.
Companies are in a cash crunch. So going forward, once the lockdown is opening up a little bit, people can go out. Do you think companies will cut down their marketing budgets, or they would amplify marketing to get more customers?
A very good question. And I think you'll find both sorts of people. See, ultimately, it is a management philosophy that will hold. If I'm a very conservative manager, I'm a very conservative guy, I might say, look, I got a cash crunch, so let me not advertise so much. When demand comes and when I see demands starting to increase, then I'll do my marketing. So I think it's a management call, if I may say so. It depends on the manager's philosophy or his outlook in life. So I think we'll see both sorts of managers here. So what actually prevails? It's $1 million question. Overall, I believe that maybe the marketing expense will come down, because people are 60-day lockdown and a 2-month hit to your revenues. That is 2 out of 12, and even at best, it is pretty much of a hit. So I believe that we might see overall a reduction in the marketing expense rather than an increase overall as compared to the previous year.
Okay, so tell us about your export plans. Will that take a backseat, or will you be going the whole hog and exporting to other countries? If you're going the whole hog, then can you specify the countries where you see a lot of potential in exports?
See, that the word whole hog is a bit misleading, in the sense that we are exporting, but our primary focus is on the domestic market. So we are exporting. Even today, we're exporting to your some countries of Africa, Southern America, right? We're already doing that, and some Asian countries also, like the Middle East and other places. But having said that, like I said, we are primarily the market, the focus, and our plant is primarily aimed at the domestic market only. In any event, the domestic market is impacted, but then of course, this pandemic is a worldwide phenomenon. So demand elsewhere also will be impacted. So it's not a question of, okay, we'll switch suddenly from domestic to export. That will not happen. Even if we wanted to, it will not happen. We will still be focusing mainly on the domestic market. So bulk of our production is still for the domestic market only.
Sir, with the current situation of COVID and no cure visible as of now, So, what is Kia's future plans in terms of 2020 and 2021 and strategy for India?
See, we want to be one of the most loved automobile brand in the country, the most popular one in that view, to be recognized as the best design, best quality, mass selling vehicle in the country. That is our ambition. And we will work on this going forward also, irrespective of the uncertainties that the current COVID situation has created in the country. We believe we are still on track. Like I said, our plans are not changed much in the sense that the Sonet, we are still continuing with the same launch plan as we had committed to earlier. So we are still very bullish about this market. We believe that the COVID is just a blip overall. Overall, the country's growth story will continue, albeit after a certain pause or a certain delay. So hopefully by this time next year we'll be in a much better market, much better position. in this case, there's nothing that comes near this sort of phenomenon. But I think overall the market is going to shrink. At least in the next 6 months to a year, I don't see a market growing. So maybe in a smaller market, the market share of the smaller cars might go up. But it is not to say that they're going to increase their sales over what they were doing earlier. I don't think that this would be the case.